Hi again guys, and welcome to another specific car review in the world of Gran Turismo Sport, and we are taking a look back into a series which we haven't covered in a few weeks, GT Masters, for a car which I didn't give that much thought to when I first started playing GT Sport. I thought it seemed to be kind of a pointless car, taking something as powerful and as torquey as a Veyron and making it into a Group 4 car? I mean, what kind of sense does that make? If you're going to make it into a race car, why not just go to Group 3? We've already got the Vision GT car for Group 1, which is in effect that LMP level machine, so why not make a Veyron GT3 car? That would be awesome, and it naturally lends itself toward doing that. But instead, they put it in the same class as a Renault Megane, which is a very weird choice. However, I would say that's actually a brilliant choice, and the reason why isn't obvious until you've bought the car. Now, this car only costs 350 grand, so it is a whole lot cheaper than the Veyron has ever been before in the world of Gran Turismo. If you'll recall, recently as Gran Turismo 6 even, it's a 2 million credit car. Now, it's 350 grand for this particular version. Now, as you can see in the video, this is still a fully paintable car, and apart from the lack of a number plate and the little red tow hooks on the front and the back, it essentially just looks like a normal Veyron, which is pretty cool. It means that you can of course make it look like a Super Sport if you want to, or a variety of other special edition Veyrons. There are indeed so many of them. But the looks aside, the really great thing about this car is how deceptively good its specs are. And they really are insane, because when I first saw the power on this thing, I was really underwhelmed. 433 horsepower from a Veyron, still with an 8-litre W16 quad turbo engine. What is the point of that? That's like taking, well, a Veyron and giving it 433 horsepower. This car is the definition of its own ridiculous analogy. Why would you even do that? Well, here's the catch. The power isn't that great, and even when you tune it up within the Group 4 class, it still has under 500 horsepower, which still sounds awful in comparison to what it usually has. That's less, of course, than the EB110 had anyway. However, it's the weight. The weight on this car is 1,650 kilos. Now that still doesn't sound that great, given that the Veyron already weighs 1,880, so why is that a big deal? Well, here's why. With a level 5 tune, this car can drop to 940 kilos. That is insane. You can virtually halve the weight, almost, of a normal Veyron. That is absolutely insane. You are literally driving a Veyron in fully tuned form which weighs almost as little as an Audi R10 LMP car. That is absolutely bonkers. And immediately the horsepower per tonne goes from a measly 262 in stock form to 521. Now, 521 still doesn't sound that great. That's roughly similar to what the Veyron actually has in road form anyway. But this has got half the power of a normal Veyron, even fully tuned, so to have the same horsepower per tonne with half the power really goes to show how insanely good the weight on this car is. So what about when you actually drive it? What kind of a difference does that make? Because, of course, the Veyron isn't exactly your go-to choice, let's say, of track car, so is it actually worth using as one? Well, yeah. It really is, and to say that it is the understatement of the century, because around the Nurburgring, this car can actually do a 640 lap, or in that region. My lap in this video is a 647.6, spoiler alert. That's incredible for a Veyron. Now, on Gran Turismo 6, some people might be able to get a Veyron around the track in that lap anyway. I can't recall what my best time was with a Veyron, but on that game you have to remember, you're looking at 1,324 horsepower fully tuned. This has still got less than 500. A less than 500 horsepower car doing a 647 lap? In the Group 4 class of all places? That is insanely good. And the handling on this car is easily what has been improved the most, because the Veyron, as I mentioned just now, and as all of you guys who have used the car before in GT6 will know, and to be honest, even in GT Sport, the road-going Veyron isn't too much different to what it was already like. It's not a cornering car. It can take corners in the real world, but only as much as, say, a luxury limo can, because it's not a track car. It's designed to be comfortable and smooth on the road, like an Audi around town, but then when you put your foot down, it can do 254 miles per hour. That was always the point of the Veyron. That's not a track car. And in that standard form, it never would be. That was the main issue I always had with the Veyron. Why were we not allowed, or why did Bugatti themselves not make even just a one-off, an experimental version where they completely gut out all of that weight and in effect make a Veyron R, that track-only hardcore version? That would have been such a cool car, and to be honest, I secretly hope that somebody buys a Veyron, some rich team or privateer owner, like SGC for instance, Cameron Glickenhaus. I hope he buys something, or someone like him buys a Veyron and just strips it out and doesn't care what Bugatti says and just turns it into this crazy track car. That is what this is. This is the Veyron track car that I personally have wanted for so many years, and now that we've got it, it's so good. I cannot even describe how good this is compared to how good a Veyron usually is. In particular, of course, through corners, but the thing that you have to bear in mind is that in situations which allow you to use the tuning, because of course balance of performance won't, but if you are in a lobby which does allow it, then taking this car up against stuff like the Meganes and the Scirocco's and the Mustangs of the Group 4 class, to be honest, even the GTRs from Nissan, this version of the Veyron is still, with under 500 horsepower and with downforce, over a 175 mile per hour car, as you will see in this video. That is respectable. That is really respectable, and stuff like Meganes and Scirocco's will struggle to keep up with that kind of top-end speed. But the best thing about the Veyron is undeniably the handling. It is so much better than you could possibly imagine a Veyron could be, and the fact that it still has all-wheel drive gives it that relatively unique handling signature, even compared to something like an R35, because with an R35 you do of course have all-wheel drive, but it's a more conventional layout. It's front engine, for instance, it's a traditional coupe shape, whereas the Veyron is just a full-on mid-engine supercar with all-wheel drive. This is a fantastic car. It's easily my favourite Group 4 car in the game. It's such a weird choice from Polyphony, but I love them for it. This was an inspired choice, it's an oddball choice, it's one which is deceptively good as far as the dealership numbers go, and where that would lead you to believe this could be, but it goes way beyond that. So definitely check this car out, and of course, I'll see you guys next time. But for now, as always, thanks for watching.